Her daughter said it was nothing, so I don't know.
Me to thank you of just interrupting on purpose with intent. Just hang on, something in chat, because I want people who are in chat who I know make a large commitment to be here also, to also have the opportunity to express, to ask questions, and to participate, because that's what it's about for our community. So Carrie just got handed an extra, and in the meantime, I will figure out how to provide a phone where we can share that going forward, where somebody can just say, here's something from chat, so that Carrie doesn't carry the whole bag. Here we are, Saturday, heading into the end of July, which I cannot believe. Um, Still feels shocking when I look at the date. Um, I think we're here now around the 25th ish, 25th. This is Encinitas Mindfulness Community. I am Diana Shimkus. This is our beautiful Sangha. If you are here for a first time or returned, because anytime we're away and come back, we begin again. And we do that together, which I love. It's my favorite thing in my week. And so thank you all. Yes, I don't click on. The minute you see me, I will not be clicking audio on when you see my face. So don't worry. It doesn't mean that I'm on a permanent mute. It does mean that I don't think everyone needs to participate in these little private conversations that sometimes can get picked up. It has happened once or twice. And then either, hey, I'm not in that, or what happened there. So just know um, that that's will be the reason I do that, to make sure we're all and right listening as a part of what we're going to be talking about today, which is right speech. And so I'm going to start by asking, as I'm going to be prone to do, asking what you know about wise speech. And you're going to speak a little bit loud. I've got this beautiful Jabra here from Janine and her husband. We're going to see if we can't use it effectively. What do you know? You can write it in chat as well. When you think of wise speech, and we're going to really flip this over today, you're going to be pretty surprised by my thoughts about wise speech, because I don't think we talk about it enough this way. I don't think we do. But let's say what we know about it, the parts we can make contact with.
It resonates from your soul.
Resonates from the soul. Something inner comes from something that is on the inside, not just the vocal cords or the thinking mind. Yes, thank you, Dennis. What else?
It reminds me of there's something at the Rotary, those 4 questions
That's right.
about basically the right speech. Is it purposeful? Is it meaningful? Will it hurt or harm?
That's right.
I can't remember it per se. I mean, I remember always seeing it because we used to do lunches, but
That's
that's what always makes it to me, and not to do harm and not, not to cause a
right.
havoc.
That's right. The Rotary took that from the Buddhist tradition, which is so lovely. And then they, twanged it a little bit. Um, but it was written actually over 2,600 years ago. And by the way, I love lending, supporting, and all of us holding it together. So yay Rotary, yay yay to the Rotary, and it is for essential um, concepts, principles, values around right speech. Because at Rotary, one of the things they do is chat, talk, both socially and otherwise, and so that they do so within a container of principles and values. And I would say generally I have, as I have been in Rotary for years, found that to be true. I'm also not in Rotary because I also found it not always to be true. It doesn't mean it was a problem. It just means I had decided that where I could invest time in giving was something I really wanted to do in a different way. But by the way, Rotary is lovely, and also very connecting. Lots of people, lots of business, really a lovely experience. What else is wise speech? Be careful about the noun.
For me, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, especially in my work. I have to read the room before I say anything. Sometimes, even what I say isn't taken well.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
for
Often.
me, it's genuine from my heart.
Something genuine from the heart, something that invited first reflection, awareness before it was spoken, Carrie said, especially in some of the work that Carrie and others do, where we're coming into potentially painful, difficult crisis situations. We want to bring awareness into the room first. This will invite our conversation on deep listening, which is a critical aspect of wise speech. Next Tuesday, we're going to focus on that in particular. And she also said that sometimes, even with the right intention, even with the pause, even with reflection, even with presence, it is not always received as beneficial or kind or loving or right timing. Some of the conditions that the Buddha has suggested we investigate. We all understand this. Yeah. When you speak for a living, you get it wrong about 98% of the time. And you continue. Why? Get it wrong. Somebody
super
did.
easy to open your mouth in a non-mindful state and just get it out there.
Yep.
And it's super hard to stay mindful of the words that are coming up and shouldn't come out.
That's right. It takes a lot to stop the momentum of our fear-based habits. Most of our speech, because this is most of the mind then, is unfortunately in some way connected to that fear, right? Even when we've thought we've sifted through it well, gotten rid of all the stickies, right? The problem is it's just the words we've manipulated. What we haven't done then, says Jim, is really look closely at where is this coming from? Where is this word, this speech, this intent coming from? And so we get the words all nice. We arrange them well. And yet something, often, well, that's interesting. That's interesting, right? And you can feel it because there is an incongruity, isn't it? Incongruency in it. But you can't tag it because the words were right. So you go, whatever. And we are not so intimate with each other and ourselves. I'm going to put it on both of us. That we know the grip when it happens for us, or we notice it, disregard it, don't we? We do. We go, well, probably me, maybe just something I'm hearing. What we don't do is often what would be appropriate, which is first to feel it, to know it, to stay with it, and then to what can I do with this? I could ask a clarifying question. I could say, I'm not sure when you said, of course it was going to go that way, something my brother just said. When my mother made a joke, of course I knew it was going to go that way. And I was like, ooh, that was a joke, and he wasn't laughing.
You never know how it's going to be interpreted. You never know.
And so I love this, Dennis. Since we cannot know the other's ears, we cannot know the way the other is going to interpret. What's our job? Since that will never be the case, right? Even when you think you know, it will not be so. So then what's our work? What's the practice? Since you cannot know, to know oneself. right? To know oneself in the three spheres. What is the body saying, doing, being right now? What is the mind doing, saying, being right now? What is this heart? Remember, this is from our wise intention last week. Doing, saying, being right now. And then I would suggest you be so bold as to run through those 5 inquiries quickly. Is it right timing? Is it the right audience? Can this be heard? Can someone, is this right intent? Can they even hear this right now? Often the case is no, even if it's true. Is it accurate? And often we use accuracy, don't we, as our full evidence. If it's true, I get to say it because it is true. This is not even close to correct. The Buddha himself spoke the very same truths in infinite ways. This way, that way, this metaphor, that metaphor. He used farming metaphors for farmers. He used sacred spiritual texts for the Brahmins, right? He used, why? Because he knew they can hear it in this way, right? In the old family systems therapy that I trained in the 70s, they said, find the language of the family you are speaking with and use it. Find that language, the words they use, the meaning they hold to it. What joining was called. Remember, Jean? Mm-hmm. Joining the family, because this would be the way they could hear and understand. You become a mirror in this way, right? And then in a very beneficial way. And then you use metaphors or language or principles or speech that are consistent with what that person or that family can hear, receive, integrate, right, at that time. And so this becomes quite the practice, doesn't it? Because it is no longer sufficient to know how you are, is it? You have to be clear enough, clean enough, transparent enough, available enough to know something also about the other to whom you are speaking. And then if we recognized the deep practice of this, we would say so much less. Wouldn't we? You'd go, I don't think, and not out of fear. I don't mean not saying it out of fear. We would not say it because right timing, is it a benefit? Is it kind? Can they hear it? Gives me goosebumps. Can they hear it? Not mostly. And then what could be said? What could then be said? And often, what? It is no longer words. But what could be said then? The answers are no, 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 and no. But that doesn't mean we just pack up and go home. What do? We are the presence of that. We are the presence with that. We honor the truth. There is something here to be spoken at some time, but I can hold it for what? Us both. I can hold this for us both. Can you imagine the right intent and right view in that? I will hold this then for us both. Why speech, not a word? This is rarely talked about. We get stuck in the verbiage, don't we? We get stuck in the verb and the noun. We get stuck in the, it wasn't capitalized, it didn't have a period at the end, that actually should have been in quotes, right? And then we dissect, and both for ourselves, and I think we do it continuously for ourselves. We review conversation, I would say, quite a bit of the time in the mind.
Oh, you think?
Yeah. Isn't it true? Because it is such a deep practice, and we can't even keep account of all the axes. Like, I don't know what they were doing. I didn't look at their face. while I was in this conversation. I don't even know how that person received it because it's online now, it's in text. Look at this. And then you see where all the potential for harm, and it's pretty continuous, isn't it? We don't have any of the mechanism that we need to answer those inquiries that the Buddha suggests So I want to stop here while I get my notes, and I want to hear what you think about this. Wise speech begins then, well before any word is spoken, and maybe exists even in the silence, even in the right? And particularly, one might say, because we're matching as humans, aren't we? Brenda's nodding because she knows this so well from the work right? We're matching. Do those words, are they congruent with the appearance? She studies this, right? Oh, wait, the mood's off. The facial expressions are inconsistent. There's a body quality that's not consistent with, I'm doing great. Really? And then the inquiry for this, right, that we do. So wise speech no longer about the words, but really what? About the communication of one's presence, inner and outer, then, right? So now speech becomes pretty inadequate, doesn't it? It's really no longer the best term at all, right? Do we get this? Okay, what do you have to say about it? And chat, come on, what do you have to say about this? What do you know about this?
Di,
Yes.
it's Robin. I think one of the things that I struggle with this subject is keeping the truthfulness of myself in my speech. And I think that's part of that. I don't know if I can express it, but that fear base of hurting someone's feelings for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go completely against what it is that I feel inside.
Yes. You
And
abandon
so,
yourself.
yeah,
And
abandoning myself. And that's
for the fear. For the
yeah,
fear. You're saying that
that's
there's
yeah.
Hear this.
And it's so true right now at this moment.
At this very moment, you're living that.
Yeah.
What if you could just stay with yourself, Robin, and not think of speaking first, but being whatever is true?
That came straight through my head when you were talking about the fear base.
Yeah.
Super important for me to do.
Yeah. What if you could take a stand on your own side with your own truth, embodying that as your first communication?
That gets me, like I know I don't do it, so I feel it really emotionally
Yes.
when you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. We all do.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it too. Because I leave my body for some right words. I do it like you, I just do it a slightly different way.
Yeah.
I don't not say it. I try to say it with as many flowers attached as I can, often losing the truth of my own fear, my own pain, my own worry, whatever's there for me. And then not communicating very effectively what it is I really wanted to say, because I end up talking to another rather than with another, and I am nowhere in the vicinity. I have left the conversation for right. And by the way, we do this all in the ways we do. Wouldn't it be useful though to then know our patterns or our habits or our protections? We could even call them, right, couldn't we? That, our protections, which is I won't say anything at all, would be one version of that. I'll say it in a nice way with a lot of words that maybe you don't even totally understand, and so we won't have to go any further than that statement. Or I won't say it that way, I'll say around it, hoping you get it, right? Or if we wait too long, what? I'm going to point it at you like a dart and then fling it. finally, right? Or act it out. I don't say anything at all. I scowl, I slam doors, I have a tone in the voice that you can't really question very well because it's not so much, right? We all have all of this potential as well. But more importantly, we know what our habits are. We have this amazing potential because we're practicing it every day to become aware of what the heart, mind, body is doing, to stay with that, and then at least to be with as the beginning of wise speech as well. Speech is the first visible evidence of the truth of us. The first visible. Everything else can be perceived, but speech, it's out there now, right? According to the Buddha, the first visible practice.
Can I read something that Jessica wrote?
Yes.
Similar to Robin, I notice I'm concerned about saying something hurtful because I've waited too long to speak up. And instead of saying it, I withdraw because I fear it won't come out skillfully, and take a quote unquote better not to say anything stance that's not skillful either.
Yes. Yes. We know both sides of this. We know the fight version, we know the flight version, we know the frozen version, we know the fix version, and we have tried them all. And they are not successful and cause us harm, Jessica said. And then they cause harm to us because we're now stuck with a truth that we are not living. It isn't that the other is or isn't, because we never know the answer to that. But that we are not allowed to now live because we have not, right, if anything, spoken it, communicated it to ourselves. So maybe then wise speech begins within, well before the word comes out. Can this be true? Can I allow this to be true? Can I allow this to be my experience? Can I breathe it? Can I be it? And then decide from the arrival, right? What do I do with this? And remember, I have said placing one's hand on one's own heart is already a communication that is worthy. Always. Now, a lot of people, I've heard about this week, as I've talked about wise intention and staying in touch with that. What is one's true intention? How do I know it? What does the body, mind, heart have to say about it? People have said this feels way too vulnerable. Way too vulnerable. I'm not going into a situation where then I put my hand on my heart. And by the way, it might be so. It is not for me to say it is true or not true, right? You might be in a corporate meeting. It may not be wise in that moment to do something. But how do you do it then anyway?
That's a good question.
How do you
Because
do it anyway? Because it's
trouble is,
required.
my mouth opens long before I know what the feeling tone inside of me is, and it
Yes.
isn't until after the fact that I understood who I was before I opened my mouth.
That's right.
It's just this impossible situation.
And that you have abandoned yourself now completely and are angry at the others.
And yourself.
Yep. And now everything is off. And so guess what the practice is this week? Oh no. Oh
Do it
no.
anyway.
To place the hand on the heart. Take a breath before the word. Before the word. That will communicate. I am speaking this from here.
You know, it's so funny because
I know everybody's shaking.
we do
Yeah.
this, but I think for this is really powerful, and Di actually helped me out one time. I had to lay off a person, and I really felt horrible about it, and I really dreaded this conversation, and I was talking to Di about, like, what should I do that she will have my really clearly positive wishing her the best. This isn't some, like, corporate thing. It was a corporate thing, but it wasn't my corporate thing. And I wanted to have a way to say this is happening, but it is not, you know, I just knew it would be really difficult. And Di said, show her your hands, find a way to show her your hands. And it was amazing. I don't remember exactly what I did with my hands. I didn't do anything false with my hands, but it, I could feel when we started the conversation, everybody was really tense and there was some real anger in the room. And I felt like just showing hands. And I know I did put my hand on my heart. It's funny you say that. I remember doing this.
You're doing it now.
Yeah. And it's like I can feel this in me because it's kind of triggering me for the whole experience. I know it made a difference. And when we talk about, that whole mirror communication piece, me putting my hand on my heart, it was like she put her hand back on her heart. And the head of HR, who had to be in the room for legal reasons, was like, that was very different. You guys are going to be good friends, aren't you? And I said, I think so. We are. That's the funny thing. We still check in with each other like every 3 months or so, living really different lives, different professionally and personally, but we still check in with each other. And so I think those things really matter, because I kept trying to write the perfect script. There was no perfect script.
I don't think they work, right? Does it feel good to you when someone says the thing they're saying prescribed and perfectly? Yeah. You're going, wow, you practiced that. And now I don't know who you are.
It's like getting a text message.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know who you are now at all.
Well,
You got the right words, and you got them in the right order, and you're doing it well. You've got beautiful eye contact, and I can't trust a thing that you just said. It would be better to stumble, wouldn't it? It would be better to say this is hard than it would all of that perfect language with the perfect noun and the perfect verb.
and I realized for me that I love scripts because you can kind of hide behind a script. And I realized that the script, in a way, is a way for me to manage my fear versus the other was I'm just going to walk in the room and it's going to be hard and I may cry and what the heck kind of thing. And so that script thing is an interesting thing where you think it's a tool to make it easier for you. In a way, it kind of makes it worse.
Does everybody know what Lisa means by scripts? Because we're all writing them. Even if you think you aren't, you have likely run through a couple strands of, especially when it is difficult or not easy to understand or not easy to communicate or what. There is any fear in us about that communication. And it is often, if we are telling the truth, then, about ourselves, which is communication, not the other, folks. That's not the practice. How do I tell them about them is not right, wise speech. I get in therapy most people coming in to say, how am I going to say this to them about them? We're not, because that's not communication. You have a job, which is to communicate something that is true and then of benefit in right timing with kindness and goodwill as its right to be of benefit, as its primary motive. Oh, and then what almost always happens, this is 40 plus years now as a therapist, is people go, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say that. And I say, it has consequence also. Doesn't it? Oh, this has consequence also. Even when you've now decided, I'm not going to communicate, you are going to communicate in infinite other, often unknown ways that is going to now, and it is guaranteed, so I don't want anybody to buy the program, cause harm. So I'm going to sit with that. This is guaranteed. You have chosen the path towards suffering. Not going to say it. It's too hard. There's no right time. There's no right condition. I'm just not going to. You have guaranteed now. You have decided to take an essential truth and distance yourself some moment from it. unless you say, I'm going to hold this, keep it right. There's a way not to speak it, but I'm also going to keep looking for what? Opportunities, possibilities, for ways of then being with the truth of this to communicate it. Remember, well before you heard me say any word is ever spoken, right? Well before any word is ever spoken. It's true. We do it, we get it from others, don't we? We go, oh, no, I know there's something over there. Like, there's something going on, right? Is this right timing? I don't know. But just that, can I just be with that truth as well, not only for the other, but honestly with ourselves? So, right, wise speech, often we focus on the how to do it, right, with these qualities and characteristics. And by the way, how not to do it, we talk about divisive speech, abusive speech, gossip, idle speech as the not to do's. And again, it's just a lovely reminder for us, but it really is all then about the language. But really, our conversation today has to be about the heart. What is speaking? Is it fear speaking primarily? Is it a felt sense of separation primarily speaking? Because then stay close to yourself first. We have to heal something here before we speak it, because then there's no hope for speaking it without harm. Especially as we too often, remember, the unattended mind always believes the problem is where?
Out here.
And then we communicate that with the best words, with the best language. Right? Don't we? We do. Anything else in chat, Carrie, before I?
No.
Okay. So here's something I wrote before the word. Before the word, there is the breath. Before the breath, an intention, a heart's longing, a full expression, already alive. Before the intention, this heart, shaped by all it has loved and feared and forgiven and remembered. Right? This whole heart is here. Arrival, presence, arrives then quietly with the placement of one hand to one heart. Arrives then, offering one wise word. Stay. One wise word. Stay. Right? Because this then will be communicated without the language, wouldn't it? Just the stay. That number one wise intention. Can we? Hand on heart, physical or otherwise, right? Physical. We are going to practice the physical. How often can I just know, be, breathe? Well, I'll send the writings as our little reminder before the speaking. And then watch what is said and not said. It will follow, I promise, the criterion of the Buddha. It will be of goodwill because I have already enacted goodwill as I have come to stay with the truth of my own experience. Whether there then is a word or a not word actually becomes somewhat secondary, right? It's subtext now. It's just offering the clarification of this because I know what's true, says Robin. And I stayed and did not abandon myself in it. This is the beginning of beautiful, wise communication. And then who is it with before it is ever? And it's rarely talked about. We don't talk about it enough. We talk about what do you then say? How do you then say it to the other? Well, we're not good enough yet. We're not practiced enough ourselves to give ourselves space and time to know this is scary, this hurts, I'm feeling unsafe or uncertain, is what we would often be saying. I feel alone. Right? We would. And then we go, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Because if I say that, I'm going to get more hurt. Actually, you can't because you're with yourself in it. The harm happens the minute we leave ourselves for the right idea, for the right language, for the right communication, meaning you'll be able to chew on this and I'll be able to get out of here. Because you already did. You already started out. By the time you're going, how can I say this? And you might begin with, I don't know how to say this. Would often be true. Or I don't know the words.
Is one of the things to ask yourself, is it necessary?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
That's the one that always
Yes.
helps me to stay quiet.
Who said the other day, somebody shared and I loved it, that little acronym WAIT?
Oh, yes.
Who said, somebody offered that. Why am I talking?
Uh-huh.
Why am I talking? WAIT. I like it a little. And I want to be careful about it. Because again, it's placing the priority in some kind of languaging or word. What we're talking about happens well before it. Right? And once again, we've vaulted ourselves as if somehow magically we could get to right communication if we didn't already do, can I drop in on my own experience? And the answer mostly is no. It is. I have no idea what I'm feeling. I'm just trying to get words in an order to get out of here or to get you to stop or to get you to shut up or to get me safe or right. And the brainstem is very much running. Look at the distance between nothing. It's right there between that stem and one's mouth. I'm not even sure it has to get up here. I think we have to create that. And that is a part of the wise intention, then, isn't it? Let me know something about my experience first. And can I speak from that?
I think one of the things that's so difficult is, at least for me, there's this switch. I can either be aware of what's going on inside of me, or I am aware of what's going on out here in the conceptual mind. And
That's
like
right.
if I can't keep track of what's going on in my body in a conversation, which I can't, it generally doesn't go all that well.
Not very well at all. It
And
can't.
So like crossing that chasm is just so impossible for
Yes,
me.
yes. Because we place a lot of demand, Jim, don't we, about I should know it automatically, I should be eloquent in its expression because, I'm the this of the that, and right. And so we leave ourselves for that egoic hold. I want to say it well, I want to be reflected well, I want to be regarded, respected, I want to look like I know what I'm talking about, I want to appear loving, whatever our whatevers, we're bringing it. And then you've already left. You're already in construction. Now you're just in the business of construction. And what are we constructing? Nothing genuine. Not real. But in fact, the thing that protects us. We just put it right in front and go, I'm back here. I think I'm safe. Well, this is walking, talking. It's the best AI. Isn't it? You just look like you're there. It's amazing.
What if you're worried about making it worse?
Yes. I think you can say that, Janine. I'm here so wanting to make this better, and I'm so afraid that anything I say is going to make it worse. That's it, because you just said it. You just said what's true, Janine. And even if you hadn't said it, I can already see it. So maybe you just show up with tears as the beginning, and the open heart, the heart that says, I so want this and don't know what to do to make it workable. Wouldn't it be true? And see, I can rest in this because it's so congruent, right? I don't feel afraid of this. I don't feel afraid of what you might say, or, right, that it might be damaging, because I already see your vulnerable heart. I already see it. And I can now feel mine. And now we can hold that together. Can't we? The truth of that. We're all afraid, is the truth. And I'm not less afraid than you. Because relationships are important. We need them. They're valuable. And they're complicated. It's all true. And then you just place your hand on your own heart and say, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay with this. And there's not too much more to say, I don't think, is there? You could go into speeches about why and how and what. I don't think so. I think this is enough as a start. The Buddha said the best communication is the stillness and silence that comes before. The best communication is the stillness and silence that comes before. Because then it rightly follows that whatever word, whatever gesture, whatever action, whatever effort, right? Now you see the path unfolding in front of us. Now noble. By what? The stillness and silence that came before. True? It is true. We just often don't have the skill, the courage, the teaching, the understanding to risk it. But now we're going to risk it together, aren't we? We're not going to do it alone, because no one does. Right? Before the word. We somehow, somebody will know the vasovagal, I forgot his name, it starts with a P, Porges. Stephen Porges, thank you so much, team. Stephen Porges says 3 taps. Anybody know this? 3 taps in the vasovagal region will begin to calm, center, and make available. 3 taps. And then you could try that even before the idea of arriving to another, right? The 3 taps, settling, stabilizing. And then being with and staying. Perfect practice. You didn't open your mouth. You didn't open your mouth. And interestingly, I notice, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. Wise speech. No nouns and verbs in our conversation. I'm going to say 2 more things and then we're going to practice, because the practice is most essential. The most profound discourse for me on wise speech comes from the Abhaya Sutta. And it says this: in the case of the words that the Tathagata, that's the Buddha himself, knows to be untrue, incorrect, unbeneficial, and disagreeable to others, he does not speak them. In the case of words that are known to be untrue, incorrect, unbeneficial, and disagreeable, that's an interesting word. It doesn't mean what you think. To others, he does not speak them. In the case of the words that the Tathagata knows to be true, correct, beneficial, but disagreeable to others, he knows the proper time and speaks them. He said it. He said it. Disagreeable. It's true. It's honest. I'm coming with benefit, and nobody's going to like it. I look for the characteristic of right timing, but you speak it. You don't just go, well, they weren't going to like this, so I just gotta go home. Nope. Nope. You speak it, but you find right timing. But you don't just shut it down, because it will make you sick. You know this. It will make you sick, and consequently no one can benefit. Can they? No. But you speak it. I want you to know I have never read that line in all the years that I've studied this. I have never read that line. But you speak it. I went, what? I read that wrong. I thought it said, and then you do not say them. And I would have recited it that way. And you speak it. Okay. Well, this is beautiful instruction, because it means just because a truth is hard, just because a truth is disagreeable, meaning I don't like the truth, doesn't mean we now have the privilege not to speak it. Can you imagine? Just use a healer or a doctor or a caregiver or a partner who holds an essential truth and then says, look at the damage that would do to you, remember, and the other. I'm not going to say the diagnosis because you're not going to like it. Well, yes, nobody likes this diagnosis of being human. Right? Nobody likes it. But the Buddha says, and then in proper timing, and you're looking for it now, with the proper heart mind that we know we cultivated in the wisdom factor of wise view and wise intent, because those must come, we then speak it. Okay? Just so you know, most important line I've read in the last year. And then we speak it.
The perfect example that comes to my mind as an ER nurse was if it's a safety issue, it has to be said right then in order to save a life.
Must.
Fire,
Must.
or whatever it is.
Must be said. And right timing sometimes might mean right now. Often may not, but might be right now. And if it's safety, of course, it's going to be right now, right? Because hair on fire, right now. Now, interestingly, mostly, probably not. And certainly not before we've anchored here. Because likely harming. Likely harming. But yes, wouldn't you? Now. Now. So do we get this? We do. Would this speech lead to my own affliction, to the affliction of others, or to the affliction, that means suffering, not distress, not discomfort, not I didn't really like what you just said. That's not what affliction means here. Of both, if on reflection you know it would lead to suffering, you should not speak it. Different than the truth of pain. Correct? We all have to make the distinction. Different than the truth of pain. Ooh, it hurts for me to hear that I have caused you harm. It might, if we cared, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be spoken. It means leading to suffering would be not speaking it. because then I can't correct, then I can't heal, then I can't participate. And it will lead to my affliction and to your affliction. Both. Right? We get these distinctions. They're subtle and very important. After speaking, it says, would this speech lead to my own affliction? It says then checking back after speaking, did this speech lead to suffering, to my suffering, to another's suffering, or was it of benefit? It was right to be spoken. If it, after, it's just the same statement after. You say, ask before, will this lead to affliction? My affliction, your affliction, or both? And then after speaking, you check back. Did this communication lead to my affliction, to your affliction, or to both? Then it should not be spoken. And if not, if there, it means there might be pain, there might be difficulty, but it is necessary to be spoken, actually to avoid suffering, because suffering and pain are not the same. We are clear in distinguishing. Pain is unavoidable. Suffering is constructed. It is conditioned. Pain is a part of this being human. Is it spoken at the right time? Is it truthful? Is it gentle? Is it beneficial? And is it spoken with the heart mind of loving kindness? These are things to check in on. And then the Dhammapada, one of my favorite writings, not from words of the Buddha, but the commentaries regarding them. Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. Better than 1,000 hollow words, yes.
Because we're talking about wise speech, I want to make a distinction and see if I'm on the right track. Because what you're talking about when you say I this and I that is if I'm in what I call my ego, the jig is up. And so when we're talking about, you just said in the heart mind, I don't even like to think about, when I'm doing therapy with somebody, I literally try to get out of my own way so that the pieces of Jean that want to look good, or like right now, hey, I know this thing, like, isn't a part of what you're talking about being, when you talk about the heart mind, are you talking about the part of us that isn't attached to our personality, our ego?
Buddha nature.
Perfect, okay.
Every communication.
Okay.
Then every moment is.
Because then you can't go wrong.
You can't beat it.
Okay.
There's no failing.
Okay. Got it.
One's Buddha
I
nature.
usually think of like, because I've asked myself, am I saying it this way for my own benefit, which is maybe not important here, or is it coming from goodwill and compassion?
Yeah.
And usually if I err on that side of goodwill and compassion, it's more vulnerable. It's usually about my feelings, but that would be better.
Wiser.
Yeah.
Safer.
And ultimately safer. With nobody liking it. But the speech would not condemn another. It would be speaking about the truth of this human vulnerability and the reality of our human interconnectedness, and that we need each other. Right? We need each other. It would be some reflection of that. Okay. I'm not going to go over the 5 questions because we're going to practice this.
Robin has something to say too.
Yes, Robin.
She wrote, I too have tears in my eyes and heart. I've changed my entire plans to satisfy my sister's schedule, but she invited herself without asking me what my needs are, and she never communicated her needs. And she talks about having been physically abused, by not speaking.
Yes. We are abusing ourselves also by not speaking. And sometimes by speaking. Right? It can be both, depending on the quality of heart mind that is present as we, and what is forming the words? What part of the heart mind is forming the words? Now, when I looked at some of the writings, I was struck by how often it said the words are formed by the heart. True. But there is a second truth, and that is the heart forms the words, and the words form the heart, don't they? That which is spoken, remember, a first visible act, according to the Buddha, of the heart mind, also now informs this. It works both ways in an exchange. It is not simply the heart forming the words, fairly frequently not so at all, but it is true that whatever you speak is now also informing and forming the heart mind. Remember, that which we repeat.
Programming.
That which we repeat. And so it isn't a one-way street. And we can't just go, yes, this is from my truest heart. We also have to say, what am I putting out there? And also, how is that nourishing, feeding this heart mind? That Buddha natured heart mind. Because we would also say this. Because it wouldn't be coming from that egoic place to begin. It wouldn't be about just my feelings. It would also be about my concern for your well-being, your happiness, your ease, and my concern for that. My concern for that is that there may be actions or inactions occurring that may not contribute to your happiness, your ease, and your well-being, and my care for that. That's it. No instructions, no directions, and no now you need to, because it doesn't work. But that I'm concerned for that. I care about that. And is there any way I can be helpful towards that? And then I want you to think about a conversation, because we're going to review this now. Okay, here we go. Little man immediately got the belly, went snuggle. And we're going to begin by feeling into the body. Letting that breath anchor us into the earth, the feet, the seat, the contact of the hands to the body, to each other. We feel the nobility, the dignity of this upright spine, reflecting our inner and outer Buddha nature. And in that posture, we can best feel our awakened hearts. The awakened heart that has come throughout all time, the goodness, the benefit, the kindness of others, all present here. And then we too sit, just like this, as awakened Buddha mind, awakened Buddha heart. Abiding thus. And before we reflect on words we reflect on the vast, open, infinite, and sky-like quality of open space, of stillness, and silence that is all around us and within. And we breathe it. We breathe the silence and stillness in and out. We make contact with the spaciousness all around us, breathing it in, cultivating that open space in our own heart, minds, and bodies. And before we turn towards the heart's communication, we open the heart to the truth of this precious human life, to the realities of our interconnectedness, our interbeing, and to the truth of impermanence. Everything changing, nothing solid. And then for just a moment, reflecting on healing words that you have received from another. Healing words. What I'm going to guess is that the words may not be clear, but that the felt sense is available. You may want to put your hand on your heart. What was it? What did the other communicate that invited your sense of connection, safety, well-being, ease? And what I know is what you know is that the words, though they may have been a punctuation, the communication was first expressed by their quality of being. And that the words were a beautiful mirror, a reflection of that good heart. Take a moment and reflect. And how does the quality of that person's being, what does it invite in you? And breathe that in. Make real contact with that. This is the point of communication. With words and beyond words. To heal, to be a benefit. To speak a truth towards the end of suffering. Both yours and the others. And staying in contact with this heart then, I'd like you to think about a communication that you have not yet expressed, you've not yet put into words. Maybe one like, I'm concerned about your well-being, I sense a distress, I care about you, want to know how you really are. I want to repair or heal something between us. I'd like you to imagine that first communication, which is the quality of your own heart, mind, body, being. So I'd like you to picture yourself, hand on heart, setting the intention for the conversation that will benefit you both. The communication, beginning with this quality of your own well-wish, the desire to heal, to repair, to communicate a truth, and the quality of your own heart, mind, body, being, establishing oneself in Buddha nature, not with the other as separate, but an essential part. And then if you could imagine one Buddha talking to another, speaking from my Buddha nature to yours. And recognizing this truth as the beginning of wise view, you too have the capacity to care, to be vulnerable. You too have wishes for well-being, for ease. You too know the realities of impermanence, of illness, aging, and death. And can I begin by simply breathing for us both, heart to heart, body to body, clear seeing mind to clear seeing mind. That's who I'm communicating with and from. I am recollecting my wish for your happiness and well-being, and for my own. And I let that heart move forward, cultivating wise intention. And remembering the wish for both my and your ease, for both of our well-being. I see what words arise from that heart. And I was reflecting on a moment of difficulty for me with another. The first words that came were, I love you. And I'm concerned for your happiness and well-being. Now that's translated into the Buddha nature language. My brainstem actually said, stop being an idiot. But it isn't what I meant. I love you and I'm concerned for your happiness and well-being. Can I rest in that and hold us both? There is no fear then here. That's how you'll know you've arrived into that vast open space. There is simply the wish for your happiness and well-being and for mine, and maybe confusion, maybe lack of clarity, maybe misunderstanding, maybe actions taken from the place of fear, the place of craving, maybe even the place of ill will that have muddied these truths. But this is most true. And can you see now that whatever you say or you do not say, you are communicating? Now, given right timing, it may be all that we can do to begin. We cannot yet identify the triggering event. We cannot yet communicate our feelings or our needs. But we are setting the table for the possibility. This must come first. And may my words become a place of refuge for us both. A place of safety for me and you. We can always come back and begin again. Anchoring the heart mind in the wish for ease, for happiness, for well-being, for peace and equanimity. And we can always begin with ourselves. Let this be the first communication on the path to right speech. And it is enough. Whatever else is true, let this be the first. May this practice today be of benefit. Can we feel the benefit? And then we all recognize that none of us began there. We begin with, you need to make some changes. I'm here to help.
Says the ego.
Says the ego. And has handily invited the other's ego to the party, which is all we get from there. Now we got a bunch of egos at the table. It does not go well. It could not go well. And so what are the practices? Number one practice, hand on one's own heart. 3 taps if there is any sense of destabilizing, any sense of distress. It may mean just knowing where I am right now and holding myself lovingly. The first communication may simply be this. Watch for the habit to believe that the words are required. Watch for it. The second thing one might say then is a reflection of the wisdom factor of clear seeing. We are equal in our humanness and in our Buddha nature. Wise view. And then what is the intention? To support that, isn't it? In whatever way I can. To support that. However you say that, then, it often looks like I care about you and want you to be happy and well. Which will almost always breed lots of questions from the other. Like, really? Why are you saying that? Because I see suffering is the answer. I see suffering. If you did not see suffering, there would rarely be a reason to speak it. Often we don't recognize or acknowledge suffering. We speak to the failure, don't we, of what has arisen, which is, and then you said that really, like, stupid. Then you did that, which was really dumb. And then you remember what I said my first thought was when I reflected on the difficult was stop being such an idiot. It was not skillful. And neither was the thought I had after it skillful. The only good news is I didn't say that. But remember, we are already communicating before the words come out of the mouth. Already communicating. Even in silence, aren't we? Already communicating. It's like a... By the way, they got the message. They got the message, just like you. So what's the work? That pause, hand on heart, tap, tap, tap. Is this coming from one's true Buddha nature to the others? It's going to include all of those factors that we're going to review. And already, to some extent, right? It will be beneficial already. I don't know if you'll say some words or not. It will be from goodwill. It will be right timing because there's no wrong timing for that communication, by the way. You can always communicate that. Is this right timing? You can always say, I see suffering and I want your happiness, your ease, and your well being. And I'm here. I'm here. I don't have no idea how to help with that. Or my own. We get to say this as well. I'm acknowledging my distress, my disease, my fear would be as beneficial if you are in a safe environment and you're communicating it anyway. The listening meditation, I think I'm going to wait on that till next week. It is setting the intention in a whole conversation to be a listener, to simply be the listener, not to communicate anything other than I am here to hear. I'm here to hear whatever it is you have to say. But I think we'll wait on that till next week. And then I have a practice of the repair practice. Can I notice careless or hurtful words? And then can I acknowledge them and speak to what is my truest heart? I was scared, I was worried, I was fearful, I was pained. Rather than just leave those sticky words out there as a truth. Can I repair by simply going back, I'm acknowledging that, and letting the truth that I recognize this simply stand by itself. You don't even need to go, let me fix it, I've got better words, I'm going to throw the, just to acknowledge. Just simply acknowledging. I was in distress and communicated unskillfully. I want you to see the impact that has. It's quite striking. It heals a lot fairly quickly because Buddha nature has already arisen in that conversation. I already am no longer my ego just to even have invited the repair. Right? I'm no longer there. I'm acknowledging that I may have caused harm, intentionally or unintentionally. Actually, it's not as important as we think it is. But that's the possibilities, I think, for right, wise, skillful communication. But I think we have to start small, very small, and stay there. So we've only got a few options. Can I communicate my wish for your well-being, your ease? Can I acknowledge the truth of suffering? Maybe. And can I also acknowledge my own despair, my own distress? And that by virtue of that, there may have been unskillful or unwise communication as well. Yes, Dia, you were.
Yeah, I was just thinking that it's important to recognize that there's no real time constraints on a repair. That I, as many of us, have oftentimes thought, well, I missed that moment to make the repair, therefore I'm just gonna just blow that off. And the reality is that such healing can happen, 3 days later, a week later, a month later, to go back and revisit and make that heartfelt repair, and that it's amazing.
Yes.
So just to recognize that I know that we all do it. I do it. Like, oh, I missed that opportunity. But you really haven't.
No, it's actually every moment. It doesn't mean you made the communication that day. You might just start by holding the other in your wishes for well-being and yourself, particularly, for the unskillful action. Maybe that's the beginning of the repair. That can be any time. And in fact, it would be better to be some amount of time before you decided to undertake the actual dialogue, wouldn't it? To go recognizing my own pain or the pain of the other in this communication. May I wish for all of our well-being and ease. And I would do that for many days before I started a conversation, so that I knew I was speaking from that, not from, I just want to straighten it out because my ego wants to look good. So sorry, so sorry, which doesn't work very well either. Right is right. And so what is the right moment? Every moment. And it may not be the one we're speaking in. said Dia. And it may not be the one where we invite the conversation. And it certainly shouldn't happen any before I have already made contact with the wish for my well being, your well being, and our shared well being. And make the offer of those genuine wishes before the communication. Because something would be best to hold you up in the difficulty. Because we can then go right back to that, and right back to that, and right back to that. And it doesn't mean you'll get far. And it doesn't mean the other forgives you. And it doesn't mean you forgive yourself. And it doesn't, right? So we're not looking for outcomes. We're just understanding that process is a continuous one and always of benefit, right? Beginning first. How am I? Can I recognize my own distress? And then acknowledging my own unskillfulness. It's not a problem now because there's no ego in it. So there's no struggle. Right. We have to get ready to go. There are several people who have asked that I call names today, so I'm going to be calling them out loud. I would also encourage you, if you have a name, I will create space for you to call a name out loud as well. That includes those of you on Zoom. So just know that you will have space for that because there are many currently in suffering, and we have the capacity, we do, to hold them with you, including you. All right, so gathering ourselves once again, inviting the reality of that most loving, most kind heart mind here available in this body. And breathing into it once again. Drawing the hands to the heart, to the chest, whatever feels best and right for you. Making contact in whatever way you do. We're going to recite the Brahma Viharas today, offering this as refuge to all those in suffering. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness. May we be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we have ease of being and offer that ease to all those in need. May we cultivate the realities of this wide, spacious, interconnected, interbeing heart-mind, free from hatred, free from greed and self-clinging, free from ignorance. May I dedicate the merits, the blessings, and the benefits of this practice today, and all practice throughout all time, coming from all directions and all peoples. May we gather this and offer it to the end of suffering for all beings. May we offer this to ourselves, to our loved ones, and to those now named, calling those names out loud. Norma Jean, Ellie, and Zach.
Felicia. Jessica.
Lynn's mom.
Nancy.
My mom. Karen, Megan, Caitlin, and Moses.
elephant guide.
And all beings everywhere without exception, omitting none. And may this practice be a benefit and a refuge this very day for ourselves and all beings. May we practice this week being a refuge with the use of wise, kind, beneficial, well-timed, necessary, and truthful speech. So be it. May we remember our primary practice to place the hand on our own Buddha nature, our own heart-mind before speaking, taking a breath, and speaking to be a benefit, speaking to the end of suffering. Recognizing that our words are a part of the Buddha nature which begins to heal all beings. Thank you for your practice today. Blessings. Blessings to you all. You are so welcome. Blessings to you all. Beautiful practice, challenging practice. We're in it together. We're in it together. Be well, everyone. I'm going to check and make sure now that I can get to chat that we're all okay. Wonderful. We will be talking about deep listening on Tuesday as an aspect of wise speech, also not often talked about and communicated, but we will also be reviewing this practice this week. So we only have a couple days before Tuesday. So I would begin now. I would begin now. All right, everyone, be well. Good to see you all.
Thank you.
Yes, be well, everyone.